Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's an honour to rise today to contribute to the debate on Bill 107, the Getting Ontario Moving Act. I had actually hoped to vote in favour of this bill because we do need to get Ontario moving. Unfortunately, I'm worried that the government is going to fail to deliver on the title of that bill. But the one thing I do agree with the government on is that previous governments have failed to build enough transit in Ontario. This bill also misses a golden opportunity to make our roads and streets safer for all road users. So, Mr. Speaker, we do need to get Ontario moving, especially in the Greater Golden Horseshoe. Gridlock is damaging our quality of life, it's hurting our economy, and it's contributing to the climate crisis. Gridlock costs each household in the GTA around $125 per year. It costs the region's economy $6 billion a year in lost productivity, and if we don't build more transit, that will rise to $15 billion a year in the next decade. But this government's plan to rip up existing transit plans, to waste time and money that has gone into those plans, will not build more transit. Actually, it will lead to more delays. I want to remind the members of this House and the people watching today that we've seen this act before. Right now, a 7-stop LRT could be opening in Scarborough. If the Premier, when he was a member of Toronto City Council, hadn't led the charge to rip up those plans that were already approved by all 3 levels of government. And now, Mr. Speaker, once again, the people of Scarborough are getting the short end of the stick. The Premier's back-of-the-napkin transit scheme does not include the Eglinton East Line into Scarborough, even though the Premier promised to build it. Promise made, promise broken. Speaker, I'm also deeply concerned that the government has only pledged to fund 40% of its $28 billion transit plan. And I ask, how does the government expect to actually secure the other 60% of the funding from other levels of government when the Premier is actively at war with them? Getting transit built hinges on working collaboratively and constructively with other orders of government, not using them as punching bags. As we've seen in the past, ripping up plans and going to war with other levels of government will not get transit built. And the people of the GTHA cannot afford more delays. Speaker, we also heard over and over again at committee from people with serious concerns about Bill 107 that seizes transit assets with or without compensation for the affected municipalities. Schedule 3 of Bill 107 sets a dangerous precedent for municipalities across Ontario who may think twice now about putting local tax dollars into major projects, knowing that the province could just come along and seize those assets without compensation. Speaker, there may be some good arguments to upload the subway as part of a larger regional transit system, to utilize the province's fiscal tools to finance the building of transit. But in order to do that, you have to do it in consultation with affected municipalities. You need to do it with their support, and it needs to be done as part of a broader regional vision for transit in the Greater Golden Horseshoe, not just focused on the City of Toronto. So let's talk about getting moving. Right now, on electrified all-day two-way GO service along the Innovation Corridor between Toronto, Guelph, and Kitchener-Waterloo. Let's talk about service to Niagara and all parts of the Greater Golden Horseshoe, and let's connect those services seamlessly and affordably with the TTC. But unfortunately, Bill 107 fails to deliver on this comprehensive vision. And as municipalities push back against the provincial government moving forward unilaterally, once again, it may even impede progress on this broader vision of a regional system. Mr. Speaker, another place where Bill 107 falls short is in keeping vulnerable road users safe. The people of Ontario deserve to have safe roads and streets, no matter what mode of transportation they choose. That's why this government has lost such a huge opportunity to include protections for vulnerable road users in Schedule 1 of Bill 107. Mr. Speaker, I don't know if you know this. In 2016, 6,348 vulnerable road users were injured in Ontario. Last year alone, 108 vulnerable road users were killed by drivers in Ontario. And although the rate of injuries and deaths due to traffic collisions is going down, the rate of injury and death for pedestrians and cyclists is going up. This is unacceptable. It's a problem, and it's a problem that affects seniors at an alarming rate. According to the Ontario Pedestrian Death Review conducted by the Office of the Chief Coroner, pedestrians over the age of 65 accounted for a striking disproportion of fatalities on our road. Speaker, the coroner's report shows that we have to act now to make our roads and streets safer for vulnerable road users. And while Bill 107 takes some steps in this direction to improve road safety for people working on highways, such as tow truck drivers, and I want to compliment the government for doing that, but the bill fails to provide protection, deterrence, and justice for all vulnerable road users. At committee, over and over again, we heard testimony from victims injured by drivers, and we heard from families who lost loved ones while they were walking or cycling Ontario's roads. We heard how the system, the justice system, failed to provide justice for victims who are seriously injured or killed by motorists. Speaker, Meredith Wilkinson came to committee and talked about how while she was cycling, she was struck by a garbage truck that had turned into her bike lane, pinning her leg under the truck and leading to its amputation. She lost her driver's license for medical reasons. The person who hit her did not, received a slap on the wrist. A true vulnerable road users act without accountability, would deter bad, distracted, and reckless drivers who choose to break the law. And that is exactly why at committee I put forward a number of amendments to protect vulnerable road users in this province, to expand safety in school zones for our children, to add paved shoulders to our roads, something that a member opposite has put forward in private members' bills in the past. Changes that would expand violations to all Highway Traffic Act violations and ensure victims would receive justice when they go to the courts. And unfortunately, the government voted down each and every one of those amendments. And I asked the members opposite, what do they have against standing up for victims? What do they have against making school zones safer? What do they have against making our roads and streets safer for vulnerable road users? I thought committee was the opportunity for us to have a conversation across party lines. I know my NDP colleagues also put forward amendments to make our roads and streets safer. I thought that was the place to have that conversation to improve legislation. But instead, it was voted down each and every time. So, Mr. Speaker, I can't support Bill 107, but I look forward to the day when we can work across party lines to improve legislation so members on both sides of the aisle can vote for it. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.